here tomorrow either.
Okay.
Are we rolling, Fitzy?
2, 1. Hit it.
Jen, welcome to Beef Bootlegger Chophouse.
Yes, thank you.
We're at Meatstock 2026. What brings you here?
Meat.
Meat?
Yeah, I just want to eat some steak, and I'm speaking. So I'm on some panels to talk about women's health and peptides and all that good stuff.
So let's talk about some women's health and peptides. What's like one big tip that we could give the audience right now?
Yeah, well, I don't think women are eating well. They're not eating with their hormones. So a lot of women in perimenopause, their progesterone is starting to tank down, their estradiol levels are erratic. So if they could eat with their cycle, it's really helpful. So I say eat meat throughout your cycle.
Eat meat.
Yeah, and get that protein that's going to help build muscle. But then in the luteal phase, that second half, they need to increase their calories. They can add a little bit of carbs in at this point. And women are just doing it wrong. They're just eating too much processed food. They're scared of ribeyes, which, they're scared of fat. So women need fat because what do hormones come from?
I know, tell me, fat meat.
Fat,
okay,
cholesterol. Yeah, isn't that crazy? So we have women, especially that grew up in the 80s, 90s, low fat craze.
Yeah, they're thinking fat's a bad thing.
Yeah, they're scared of it, and I used to be like that. So my favorite cut of meat growing up was, guess,
Filet.
Filet. Yeah, and now I like that fat. I'm like, look at that marbling. So.
Well, we're glad that you're coming around to the ribeyes, and a lot of gals are because I ask a lot of people, what's your favorite cut?
Yeah.
8 out of 10 gals, certainly filet, because of the texture, less lean and all of that. But for the health benefits of fat, also cholesterol's back in, so we want some of that.
Yeah.
How many times should they be eating meat? Let's say, so they're coming into their cycle. Are they eating meat every day for that week, or, do they just want to mix it in?
Well, it's about protein. So we definitely want to have that protein. I mean, I do think omega-3s are good, and putting in some salmon that's wild caught is good too. But I eat a lot of beef, probably 2 meals a day.
Good for you.
And and a lot of ribeye or ground beef. And it's easy for women to get that, but they want that 20 to 30 grams of protein. Also, I'll do a whey protein shake with raw milk. So there's different ways to get that protein in. But as women age, they need muscle.
Mm-hmm.
So muscle is kind of that dump for the sugar and the glycogen storage. And if you're keeping up good muscle and you need protein to maintain that good muscle and lifting, obviously, that is going to help women with that weight gain that they see a lot in perimenopause. Because we've all heard women say that, they blame their weight gain on their hormones, and it is their hormones, but they need to balance their glucose and insulin, and eating protein, eating more animal-based can help with that.
100%. You also mentioned peptides. So what kind of peptide regimen should they add into their higher meat-based diet?
Yeah, so peptides, do we all need peptides? Not really. They're kind of like an icing on the cake. So we want to work on the cake first with nutrition, with making sure our gut health is good, our hormones are balanced. But I do have women that are stuck in insulin resistance. They are eating perfectly, they're lifting weights, and their body is just kind of stuck. So sometimes we'll use a GLP-1, GIP, and just help get that fasting insulin down, help with their emotional eating, because a lot of the times they're having emotional eating.
Right, it reduces cravings, right? That's one of the major benefits.
It works on the brain. Now, there is some concern that GLP-1s cause people to have no apathy. They're apathetic, they have no emotion. Yes, at really high doses, but we're going to keep the lowest effective dose. We're not going to dose it really high. And there's other ways to increase GLP-1 in our body, like fasting. So mixing in fasting during the follicular phase for women would be helpful. But the problem is with GLP-1s is we see it, what is happening to these women, they're losing muscle.
Right.
And I just said muscle is so important, and that's why we want protein. So you need to balance that. Like I say, non-negotiable, they need to be lifting weights, take creatine, they need to make sure that they're eating protein, and that's 3 meals a day of protein, trying for like 120 grams of proteins.
And are you, do you have a couple of these different best practices that you can promote? Are people able to kind of follow and get some guidance from you?
Yes. On my website, Healthy by Dr. Jen, I have protocols like that. I give my patients protocols on what to do if you are going on a GLP-1. But I also think that people don't know there's other peptides out there.
Yeah, well, that's what I was going to say. Peptides, what does that even mean? There's so many. It almost doesn't mean anything by itself. So you said GLP-1s. What are maybe some named ones that people could do some research if they're just thinking about learning a little bit more?
Yeah, I love growth hormone secretagogues. I don't know, have you played around with peptides yourself?
Not really. I traded a guy a little bit of beef for I think some Retta, but I'm already so skinny.
Yeah.
It wasn't really the right thing. Now it was a microdose kind of thing, and there was some benefits, but I wasn't really vibing on it. And I thought, okay, well, there's some other things. What if I do get into the game a little bit, I think it would be more for muscle rejuvenation. I'm 49. I do a lot of physical labor, so I guess maybe the Wolverine blend or something like that.
Yeah, TB 500, BBC 157. So that helps through angiogenesis and different ways to improve the joint health, ligaments, all of that.
That's what, because I do get a little bit worn down.
Yeah.
And again, I'm moving around a lot more, even in, I'm 49, so I'm not a spring chicken anymore.
Yeah, well, that can really help. So adding that in and cycling them. So peptides need to be cycled. So I love the Wolverine protocol. Also, the growth hormone secretagogues are great. Growth hormone
What's a named one
repair.
of those if I wanted to check it out?
CJC 1295, Ipamorelin, Ceramorelin.
I think the Ipamorelin is the one I heard of.
And they're great. So what you could do, sometimes people take them twice a day. You can just do it once a day, 5 nights of the week, because you need the 2 days to have those hormones kind of reset. But at night on an empty stomach.
Gotcha.
If you're having them with food, you're just wasting your money.
So that's a great little piece of knowledge right there, because I'm sure a lot of people, they're buying them maybe off the internet or whatever, they're not being able to consult an expert.
Right.
So doing it with food eliminates the benefit.
No, yeah. So
is it always on an empty stomach?
Yeah. So usually around between 10 and 12, our body is releasing growth hormones. So I joke with my daughter's friends that are boys. I'm like, don't be playing video games until midnight or 2. You're literally like restricting your growth hormone. You need to be asleep, resting, off screens. So that 10 to 12. So you do your growth hormone. Make sure you didn't eat before. You stop eating at dinner anyway. When the sun goes down. And then the 5 nights a week, because I had a friend that just got it off the internet, and they were taking it every single day. And I'm like, no, you're not giving your receptors a chance to reset, because we're not giving growth hormone. It's a growth hormone secretagogue. We're helping our body release more growth hormone. As we age, our growth hormone decreases. Right. So that's why, as we age, we're not repairing as well or feeling as good or looking as young, because growth hormone's like a youthful one. Also, you have to rotate it in and out, because we do have to check our IGF-1 levels. It's a blood test to make sure we're not doing like too much growth or doing harm.
How often should someone be getting their blood work done so they know what's happening, or creating a baseline and then seeing, that we're improving and moving in the right direction?
Yeah, well, every couple of months, depending on what metrics you're looking at, would be a good idea, but at least like 2 times a year.
Okay.
Another one that you would love is MOTS-c.
Okay.
It's a mitochondrial-derived peptide, one of my favorite peptides. So it works at the mitochondrial level, and it also has a little bit of AMP-K pathway, which is like how we burn energy.
Okay.
But MOTS-c is great because every single cell, almost, except red blood cells, in our body has mitochondria. And as you know, if we don't have energy, then our mitochondria is struggling. So that's like everyone, right? And as we age, our mitochondria age.
Does disease come from poorly performing mitochondria as well?
Yes. I believe disease comes from poor mitochondrial health, which is influenced by environment, stress, what we eat, diet, but also inflammation, right? Those are 2 of the things that I think. So MOTS-c is great. I also love Thymosin alpha 1. That is good for our immune system, our immune health. So the thymus, it's an organ that we have when we're young, and then for our immune system, and then that kind of degrades. So thymus boosting, producing peptides with supporting that can help with our immune system. So this is something that people struggling with autoimmune disease, cancer, because cancer is a breakdown of our immune system, right? And traveling. So you travel a lot. Yeah. So that would be something that you could use, a week before travel and after. So what I see peptides as is a tool in the toolbox. Obviously, we're going to, nutrition and diet, which you're so passionate about, is the cake. And then we have the icing on the cake, which is peptides. So I always have people, let's work on the basics first, and then the peptides, like, not that they're working different or better, but they kind of are.
Well, I think you're right. Also, peptides are very targeted. So some of these other things are, holistic, more broadly speaking. They do this or that. Where if you're deficient or you need to improve it particular, attribute of your health that the peptide is able to target it like a laser beam.
Exactly. So I love peptides, especially for women in perimenopause, because they feel like they're falling apart a little bit. So once we work on the basics, and then we can add in peptides to support. Another one I love for men and women is PT141, and that is to help with like sexual benefits. So it helps libido, which is great. Yeah, and we're also working on stress and cortisol, but this is a nice one intranasally. I usually pair it with oxytocin, which is the love hormone.
There we go.
Yeah, and the love, oxytocin also is a potent anti-inflammatory for the brain. It's really good. Like they're doing more research in children with autism or PANS and PANDAS. So oxytocin, which we get from hugging, which we don't hug enough or long enough. It's like a little like hug, and it's like needs to be
Well, they
longer.
said something about 5 hugs a day, and I think they need to be more than 3 seconds or something like that.
Yeah,
Just
I
makes you feel better as a human.
30 seconds. It
might even be more. I might have rounded down with that.
Yeah, but if you went around and started hugging people for 30 seconds, people would probably think you're creepy. But that's why we need to talk about it.
I think we need to do more of that.
Longer hugs.
Also, I think the attraction frequency between men and women has probably never been lower. So, I read about that. Again, not really an issue for me personally, but I think right now with the social and maybe there's a lot of ego-driven stuff as well, that maybe adding that libido is probably exactly what we need as a society.
Yeah, we have it in my fridge, like for my husband and I, and it's that human connection. And if you are connecting, with your spouse, with your partner, that is increasing the oxytocin, which I said, is neuro and anti-inflammatory, and it's calming to our nervous system. So we're reconnecting, where while social media is good and everything, it is disconnecting us, and we need to put the phones down at night and maybe grab the PT141.
And maybe do a little hugging.
Yes, more cuddling, more hugging.
Here's a question for you. So a lot of the men's health optimization, we have a lot of overlap with who our, ideal client might be. But what I'm understanding is that the younger generation actually have much lower testosterone than, a 50-year-old, almost 50-year-old guy. So do you find some significant differences from the blood work that you do? I mean, obviously there are differences with a 50-year-old lady, 40, 30, and so on. But are you seeing something maybe in that generational stuff that's unique to a Generation X person that is just totally different?
Lots more toxin exposure to the younger kids. We also had the pandemic jab. Yeah, so that is a concern, because we know that does go throughout the body. Also, dopamine issues with being addicted to reels. I talked to my 18-year-old and my 13-year-old about this, that these reels are highly addictive.
Right,
they are
just hitting
draining
that
dopamine, and that's affecting testosterone. But I would also say, like, the glyphosate, the gut health, all of these toxins that are causing this infertility, decreased sperm count. And then in women, it's all like polycystic ovarian syndrome and infertility, which is all driven by diet and exercise. The problem is all of these girls are going, to this coffee drink, Starbucks, and getting all these frappuccinos, all these high sugar drinks that are going right into their body and causing high insulin spikes.
Yeah, sugar seems to be the enemy.
Yeah, I know. And they're like disguising it in different ways now. And they're trying to be like, oh, but we're adding protein to your really, 200 calorie full of sugar drink. So,
right. Yeah.
It's bad. And then also a hidden factor is stress. So kids are anxious and depressed. They're so stressed. It breaks my heart. Like at my church, even kids are anxious and depressed because it's everywhere, and this is where I have the faith-based component coming on, that we don't need to be anxious, because we know that heaven is waiting for us, and we will have struggles on this earth. So we need to go each day just being content, not comparing ourselves to other people's social media or the clips. That we need to get back in the Word and get comfort from that, because I feel like just people are so so anxious. It's not good.
Well, you're right, and comparison is a thief of joy, and also maybe humility, being comfortable with yourself and being able to be content. So that's something I've struggled with for a long time. But Instagram, you're always seeing the the best, or people putting their best thing. So it's very unnatural as well and artificial, where maybe just being comfortable and being content is the way to go, and being able to find a reason to do that, being kind with yourself, with your internal dialogue.
Yeah, I think it is funny because it's the highlight reel. People don't talk about their struggles. So I tend to talk about my struggles. I think I just posted a picture of my face because I was breaking out on my chin because my husband had the handlebar mustache. And I'm like, I think you caused me to break. He shaved it. But we need it. Like, people go through hard things, and we need to be honest about that. And that's why I love being honest about struggles. In my book, The Perimenopause Reset, I talk about struggles I've had, because if someone else can relate to that and know that they're at the over top of the mountain, you're just in a valley, you're going to be at a mountain soon. And what is it teaching us? What are the hardships teaching us? Mm-hmm. I know that the last year we just moved to Tennessee, and it was kind of a hard year for us. The Lord was trying to teach me patience.
Yeah.
And for me, being a type A personality and very driven, and just patience and just resting with my family and in that has been so good for me.
Good for you,
and it comes back to having that dopamine, having that, not that instant gratification, because it's also, that comes back to full circle. The instant gratification is a big problem in our culture right now.
Well, you can also get addicted to stress and these things as well, because it's something, your body's getting some type of energy, and I think sometimes we do get addicted even to, just hustling or doing something instead of being able to relax, being able to be content.
Yeah.
And when you're talking about sharing your struggles, where we are right now is exactly where we're supposed to be, generally, and that we're in a position to most likely help a former version of ourselves.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right? So all of those struggles are exactly what someone needs to hear. One, to be more real and to be more approachable as a regular person, but to also know that, hey, after this particular thing, or this is the way I solve for that, or, sometimes time, or meeting a particular person or learning a new thing is what actually brought you, to the finish line on that particular issue.
Yeah, I had Hashimoto's thyroiditis, and I was so inflamed and overweight and struggled with that through medical school, was tired, and then I changed my diet and took gluten out. And that's why I think animal-based is so important.
Yeah.
And I tell all my patients to take gluten out, because when you take gluten out, or bread, wheat, you're basically taking out most processed food, to be honest.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so it's kind of a good start, I tell my patients, or if anyone listening out there, if they're I'm not ready to jump into animal-based fully or carnivore, just start with taking out gluten and bread, including sourdough. Just take it all out. You're metabolically going to be better, more straight, steady glucose levels. So, it was hard for me to go through all that. And this was when I was going through conventional medical school, and no one had answers.
How long ago was this?
When I had Hashimoto. So it's been in remission for about 15 years.
Wow,
so about 20 years ago, I was in medical school, and they had to cut out half my thyroid. They were worried about cancer, and it was so good that it wasn't cancer, but they told me, they're oh, it's Hashimoto's, it's an autoimmune disease you can't do anything about. And when a doctor tells you that and you're a medical student, then you believe it. There's nothing I can do. So I think getting the stories out, and now that we can take control of our health. I mean, there are doctors like me that listen to patients, that know the body can heal. We were not designed to live in sickness. We really weren't. That there are ways to heal our body, but a lot of it is food. It's having that motivation to do hard things too.
Absolutely.
Yeah, put down your phone, go walk in nature.
Put your phone down. Yeah.
Be okay in the rest, like you were saying.
Right.
Yes, it's good to be productive, but when are we toiling? When are so like this, you're working your butt off this weekend, but then you're going to go home and rest. there's a season for it all. But yeah, we definitely need those breaks that rest our adrenal glands to
Well, that's what you
down.
want to do, exactly. Calm down a little bit, and then also in that calming, you're actually going to give yourself that rest and that rejuvenation, just like you're saying.
Yeah.
You know, your muscles and your repair is happening when you sleep. You know, you need to let yourself rest for a little bit to just kind of relax.
Yes.
And it also gives you some perspective as well. If you're always doing something always the same, you need to have your own seasons or, you know, your own little pockets to rest and build the energy and then go at it again.
Yeah, and you brought up sleep is so important. So many people don't sleep. And I think that every doctor out there should have that question on their mind with every patient interaction. How are you sleeping? Because if we're not sleeping, we're driving up cortisol, then we're going to have more cardiac events, we're going to have more gastrointestinal events. So sleep is so important, and really getting into that parasympathetic, that rest and digest, out of the fight or flight.
Rest
is
and
important.
digest. Well, I got my rest and digest glasses on right now, so.
Yeah, well, that's
a
another thing.
improvement.
Yeah, shout out to Sun Dreamwalkers, like with Thaddeus, like that circadian rhythm and making sure that you're off your computer, the blue lights at night, which so many people are staring at their phone in bed.
Yeah.
And I even felt convicted of that because I was doing that. And I say, oh, I'm checking up, I'm returning messages. And I'm like, I don't need to be doing that at 10
Don't
p.m.
need to be doing it. And that's the thing, it's so hard. I mean, you know, we're business people, we're doing stuff. You're always got to be plugged in and get that flow.
Yeah.
But I think, just to be able to put it down. And also it's an adjustment. So almost just like defeating food cravings or these other things.
Yes.
Fasting for a little bit gives you a little bit of mind over matter type
Self-discipline.
thing. So just doing that with your phone, it's
Yeah.
probably going to like find itself manifesting, improving other parts of your life.
Yeah, I think self-discipline is so important, and we live in a culture where that's not cool to deprive ourselves of things.
Yeah.
And like fasting, you know, maybe fast from social media or fast from food, but fasting is so important. And I think that when we look for food for comfort or, you know, social media, it's basically escapism.
I was just going to say
Yeah.
that. These are all different forms of escapism.
Yeah. And we don't want to like feel uncomfortable. And I think that's the big thing. It's okay to feel uncomfortable sometimes, or a lot of times, because when do we get growth? When we're uncomfortable.
Well, I was just going to say as well, sometimes that sort of angst, you know, in depriving ourselves of something, you can channel that as well. So it's good to do that. And then you could maybe harness that energy and then put it into something a bit more productive, whether it be exercise, whether it be starting a business or doing, you know, whatever. But having a little bit of discomfort in that way is also a bit of energy that, again, you can transmute, just channel it in the right way.
Right. Well, think about building muscle. You have to be uncomfortable and work to fatigue if you want that growth. Otherwise, you could just stay how you are. But it's funny because when I work out, you know, with my husband or my daughter, I push them until they're so sore. I'm like, yeah, you should not be able to walk. Now, there are some peptides and some supplements you can take to help that post-exercise soreness the next day. But you have to get uncomfortable or there won't be growth. And women, ladies listening out there, if you lift weights, you're not going to look like a man unless you're
it's just
super
going to tone
therapeutic
things
on
up a little bit.
testosterone. Oh, yeah. I mean, I would say lifting for women is just so underutilized. I mean, and so you, like, when you look at women, do you like
I was
super
about to say
skinny,
that.
or do you
No,
like
as
toned?
a man, I want tones.
Yes.
It actually doesn't matter. Tone is everything. You just want tight tones, a little bit of definition. That's sexy.
Yeah, and it is. I think muscle is sexy now. It's attractive. You know, when I see a woman like working out or at the beach and they have like good muscle tone, not too like androgen where I'm like they're taking testosterone, but when I can tell that their hormones
still
are balanced,
feminine with tone.
I tell them, I'm like, you look great, you know, and I can tell, like, looking at people now, you know, if they're on hormones, if they're overdosed on hormones, you know what they're doing, or if they have the GLP-1 body now.
Right,
which
a little bit of like the Skeletor thing going on.
Yeah, and that breaks my heart because then I know that they're putting themselves at risk for more diseases when they get to that muscle wasting.
Right.
They're going to have metabolic diseases, or they're going to be, and they're going to be on the drug forever. And that's the point of the drug companies. They want them on the GLP-1 forever. No, the goal should be a little dose, small amount, just to help them push through, get more metabolically flexible while they're lifting weights. And then when they get off of it, their muscles are going to do all the
They're good. It's
work.
just moderation. Everything's good in moderation.
except ribeye.
Except the ribeye.
I'm just
I
kidding.
love that. So that is a great way to wrap it up. But
Yes.
before we go, again, tell us where people can find you
Yeah, of
and
course.
tell us about your book again one more time.
Yeah, so my book is The Perimenopause Reset. My name is Dr. Jen Pfleghaar. You can get the book on Amazon or go to my website, Healthy by Dr. Jen. And I have protocols on there, blogs, all the things. And you can follow me on Instagram at Integrative Dr. Mom.
I love it. Jen.
And this is yours.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks for your time.
Yeah.
That was great.
That was fun.
Boom.
That's great.
Sweet.
Thank you. Appreciate